Netherlands are through to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
I think I was the closest, right? And I was shy by
No,
just a
I
goal
was
because
close.
What did you have?
Oh
2-1?
yeah,
You
I
had
said
2-1. I had
2-1,
3.
maybe even 3-1 to the Netherlands.
Oh, I didn't hear that well. When you say maybe it doesn't count, right? You have to be
Exactly.
definite.
What
Right?
did you have?
I had 3-2. And I think I was just being magnetic for the US team. I didn't
So
know
while it was
that.
3-1, you're probably praying US score, US
Yeah.
score, US
No,
score.
actually, I didn't want them to score for them. Like I said, I don't like predicting. I predicted because we all had predictions. I don't like predicting, but I was certain in my heart and in my head that no way out. And I will tell you, I actually shared a voice recording with you guys.
Yeah.
For the fact that you could run around doesn't equate to winning. This is the, and this has been, and I'm struggling to understand why the US national team has not moved away from this. I can't even call it old school. I think they're trying to create something that does not exist. Stop teaching these boys to play this way. It's football. It's a tactical game. It's a strategic play. Teach them the right thing.
But that's their strategy, though. You can't fault them for that.
It's fine. It's fine. But I mean, just think about it. I think the Netherlands were just too comfortable letting them have the ball. Not that they were under different. There's a difference between US pressing you and you're worried. No, they were not worried. It looked like a friendly game. It's like, because they figured it out, like they could run 90 minutes and they are willing to run 90 minutes. They had the will, they're young, they want to do that. So why would you play into their hands? Let them have the game. Let them do whatever they want to do. I think we just lost Ayo, right? But I think it will be back. Let them do what they want to do. And that's the difference between the quality that I've been talking about, right? That quality made the difference. They had their chances on the counter and they converted it. You guys keep running as if you are Man City. You are not Man City, for Christ's sake. For Christ's sake.
To counter you, Biodo, you are not wrong totally. But I think the running was not the issue. The issue was what you mentioned about quality. Being clinical, finishing, clinical in front, clinical at the back, finishing properly, defending properly. The US did not do those two things. I think the US had way more chances than the Netherlands. Clear-cut chances that could have been put behind the net that they did not finish. Of course, Ayo used to say they don't have someone in front who could do the job. That showed. But also at the back, the two goals, the second and third goal, that second goal at the end of the first half was just plain ridiculous. So, defending properly, there was lack of communication at the back. That was the main problem. If they had like Thiago Silva at the back, I don't think they've considered those two goals, the second and third goal. Because one thing was so sure, there was lack of communication in there. The guy who's at the back, what's his name? Zimmerman or Rem? One of them.
That was Zimmerman, that was Rem.
Yeah. Should have held that back line. Communication was key. You tell your players where to go, when to stand, when to run. That was missing. I actually think that's what cost them. Because in front, if they didn't consider second goal and they went into halftime 1-0 down, coming back in the second half, they would have put more pressure on Netherlands. And I agree with you. Netherlands was comfortable because they let US have the ball and run, which is their own tactic, fair to say. But what Netherlands did better than the US was finishing their chances. That was the main thing. I personally think US running or not running, if you don't finish your chances, you can't win. You can't win if you don't score. And if you don't finish your chances, that's where the problem was for the US, in my opinion. I think that game could have gone it that way if they defended properly and if they finished properly. I don't think we have Ayo here, but so
Ayo, are you frozen? Are you with us?
No, he's not. He's not.
Okay. All right. So good point. Hold on 1 second. I think it's having a connection issue. Okay, we'll wait for him to reconnect. I hear you, but there's a piece that I just wanted to be clear about, very, very clear about. I'm not saying running. Of course, running is part of the game, but I'm saying running, movements without the ball, with the ball. Those are decisions that are very key.
Yeah.
Into this game. You and I have seen a lot of games, right? It's not only when you have the ball to yourself, it's also when you don't have the ball. And that's the points that I'm faulting about whoever their technical director, their manager, the entire coaching team is all about, right? When you have these teams that are very young, that they can run from the very first minute to the very end of the game, you've got to understand what are the loopholes. How would you be countered? How would you be played against? Everybody has to, and now it takes him back to England game. I think England wanted to do the same thing Netherlands did, but it just didn't work out because he did not field the right counter players. People like Rashford and Foden. I think they would have punished the US, but instead we had Sterling that didn't have a very good game on that side, right? And that was a challenge. Having Rashford and Foden would have punished the US because they did the same thing. My point is, Netherlands already figured out we're not going to be able to run like this, boys.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go into these games and let them open us up, right? So we have a shape that we're going to maintain. You remember I was telling you that I was disappointed about Blind, right? They've been Blind, right? And that was because it was too conservative. There were chances that I was like hoping that he could move and be faster and counter. But apparently they were playing to that strategy. He refused to go. He just sat in that middle. Not true. Now, Dumfries was one of my best players in that game, right?
He was
Dumfries was too good in that game. And that tells you the strategy. Like, we're going to soak. And it was too comfortable again, I repeat. It was too comfortable for them sitting down and soaking. And now you see a US team that has that. Then what else is missing? What is missing is then that coordination to cut off the supply. If they have cut off the supply to Depay, because Depay and Gakpo kept stretching it, I kept opening. Then you have one of the most intelligent players in the midfield that could then hold the ball and move, which was De Jong.
Right. So let me ask you something. You mentioned counter in the midfield or control in the midfield. In the US perspective, whose fault is that? The players or the coach?
Again, the responsibility is on the manager. If I can answer your question that way, the responsibility is still on the manager. He's seen everything, right? You have guys that can do the job. It is how you use them, right? That Musa Tyler, right, in that midfield, they could have done better. And I think there was too much excitement about them that made them forget that we're playing with an experienced team and somebody that could hold the ball and finish easily. Look at those two goals. The first two goals were the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? You don't get too excited to not think about what your opponent is trying to do. And that is the piece that I fought them about. Netherlands was comfortable taking few chances. It doesn't matter how many chances you guys had. The point is, we're not going to be panicking. We're not going to be stretched. We're not going to be put under any pressure to make or commit a mistake. Even the goal that was scored, I think it could have been cleared out. But that brings me back to the point of Adjirite. Even the what's his name?
You said the goal that was scored by Adjirite could have been cleared out.
Yeah, could have been cleared out. The defender tried to clear it. But again, the point is, why was Adjirite sat until that point?
Yeah.
You remember I said it at the beginning of I need a physical player. I need a player that can impose his strength.
Which is the same thing. Which is the same thing this guy has been saying. Ayo has been saying. Someone that can impose his strength on Van Dijk. Oh, Ayo, welcome back. Someone that can impose his strength on Van Dijk. Who did? So it was where Pulisic. Who was the last guy?
It was Ferreira. It was that Ferreira guy that couldn't do anything.
See it this way.
And I'm sorry.
Sometimes coaches gamble. Maybe gambled off. Sometimes I think bringing in Ferreira was a gamble. We all know Adjirite hasn't been at his best. Let's put it that way. But you did say you need someone to challenge Van Dijk, which I think they should have brought on Adjirite earlier, or started him just because of Van Dijk. You're right. But I think he took a gamble on Ferreira, and the gamble did not work. But aside from that, I still think the main defining factor was lack of communication on defense and more power in attack. Now, if I had to pick one blame, it's going to lack of communication in defense. Because if US was one goal down and it went in the second half 1-0, they would have really, really pushed for an equalizer and another goal. Which I don't know, whoever is in front, they would have figured it out. But that defense, the second and the third goal were just, I don't know. Even the first goal, I mean.
Let me push you.
Let me say something, right? So I didn't want to call it out in the first before we went live, right? But Anthony Robinson has defensive deficiencies.
Yep.
And I didn't want to call it out. I called it out about him being good going forward. And we saw him quite a lot of times, driving out from the back, carrying the ball forward. But on defense, we've seen it a couple of times. There was the penalty he gave away in the group stage, and even the third goal was the most glaring. He was completely out of position. Marking, I don't know who in the middle, right? There were two other defenders on the person he was trying to mark in the middle, and Dumfries was wide open there. I think it's maybe he'll improve over time. He's still young. He's, I don't know, 22, 23. So he'll maybe, come of age, but I think that's where they lost it. All three goals came from Dumfries, right? The two assists and the goal. And that's Anthony Robinson.
So you are giving the blame to Anthony. I'm giving the blame to Tim Ream because of.
So I have a question, right? I want to push Charles. You keep saying that there was a miscommunication with the defense. Can you be more specific? What was that missing communication? What happened? Because when we play as a team, you move as a pack, right? So what was that communication breakdown that you saw that made you think there was a communication in defense? What did you see? What happened?
So I think there was a lack of communication between, and I'm picking Tim Ream out because he's the oldest in that defense, supposed to be the most experienced. I see what Thiago Silva does for Chelsea. The likes of basically the oldest guys in the defense, the likes of Ramos used to do for Real Madrid. Was the Vidic, the Ferdinand used to do basically what Van Dijk does for Liverpool's defense. It's not just about tackling, it's not just about positioning. It's also about letting your players know who's doing what at each point in time. That was lacking for the US. I saw that in the second goal and in the third goal. Being able to pick each man. Their man marking was off. Let's start from there. Their man marking was off. There were so many times that the ball was crossed in the box and 2-3 orange guys were free. And that, I believe, there's so much the coach can do. But as the most influential, most experienced defender, your back line follows your lead. So you make those calls. And if it happened the first goal, second goal, third goal, 3 times in one game, I think I'm going to put the fault on that. That's the second goal especially was the most disappointing in my opinion, when it was literally the first half.
The second goal was the same as the first.
It was exactly. But
second goal was the same as the first.
Fool me once, blame on.
It was a cutback. It was a cutback.
Shame on me. So that's what I'm saying. The second goal was most disappointing because it was the second time happening exactly the same way.
Okay, so why? And this is where I want you to get to. Why did you think that happened? I think it goes back to the setup. It goes back to the strategy, and it goes back to the kind of manager you have. See, no dig at the US. I live in this country, the US, but we're talking football here. So I got to be real. I got to put my sentiments away and let's talk real. When we're making predictions, I said I'm going with experience. My experience did not let me down because there are games whereby sometimes we've seen the experienced team being let down and losing the game. My experience didn't let me down. And why? What is the point I'm trying to make here? Before you get to a defense, there's always our DMs, right? You have that protective layer in front of the back four or back three, however you play, right? You got to see this game. You got to see why these guys are too excited. They were too excited and they were playing out of position. Now, whether they knew that, I don't know. I'm not their manager. But somebody like me that sees the game differently was looking at that and I was faulting the way they were moving around and just chasing the ball. You chase the ball, but also remember there is a big hole that you leave it around. And to your point, why are my 3 orange guys standing alone? Depay had a old space over there. So
that was where I was going to go to.
Then you see Claassen in the middle. Right behind De Jong, and De Jong can take 2-3 players on. Yeah. Now, when you are Tyler Adams and Musa and McKinney, you guys play in Europe. Shouldn't you be aware of those spaces and making sure that you are giving your defense? Because you can, regardless of whether you are Van Dijk for US, when you're exposed, you are exposed.
I agree.
That's Tyler Adams. That's Tyler Adams' space to cover. So
in summary, you are blaming the coach. I blame the coach too.
I'm blaming the manager because again, I see him standing there. I think he's an average guy. I think he's good for the job. I think he's good for taking it over from wherever Klinsmann or whatever took them to. But 2026 that they are already shouting about and saying Kinikon. Guy, forget it. He needs to probably improve himself or they need to find a better manager.
International manager.
If they want to prove, I don't care, they can hire me. I don't care who that is, right? But the point is, I think they might have 2 things behind their minds, which is we're going to stick to this style. That's our pattern. We're going to teach the whole world to switch to the way we play, which is energetic, being active on the ball, run pace, win the ball. And versus the European style that we are used to, which is we have to know our opponents, we have to know the strength of our opponents, they will play around the strength of our opponents, and we have to be tactical. There has to be a shape that will play around. You can have the ball and comfortable defending. Van Dijk wasn't moved at all, unless that foul that I saw that I got the yellow card, right? I have to put down Reina.
Which I told you.
Van Dijk was comfortable.
Van Dijk.
Yeah. Van Dijk was comfortable. All the long balls was not
the whole
enough.
team was comfortable.
Like the way he was playing, it was like a friendly game. He wasn't on any threat. And that's why I said, why was Ajirite being sat down on the bench? What was that Ferreira guy doing?
Let me ask you a question. Let me just throw a question out, maybe for two of you. Do you think there's something the coach could have done during the game to fix it? And if yes, at what point?
I want to go first, or you want Kyle to go first?
So I think where they could have fixed it was Tyler Adams, right? Just letting Tyler Adams be more aware of dropping into those spaces. And I mean, I watch Arsenal a lot, so I'm going to use Partey as the example. A lot of times when you see the ball go wide, right, if the fullback is not out of position, so if he sees that the fullback has the cover on that guy, a lot of times you will see Partey drop into the box as the third central defender. Yeah. And so that defensive midfielder always needs to be in position to be able to intercept any cutbacks or any crosses into the box along with the central defenders. And they highlighted it on the first goal particularly. They played the ball completely around Tyler Adams in midfield. And instead of letting the ball go, I think he got caught ball watching a bit and they didn't even bother to drop back. And Dumfries, who started off the move, actually finished off the move. So Dumfries started off in front of him and was behind him at the time when he scored.
To give the cross,
again with the second goal, So I already mentioned what Anthony Robinson didn't do in terms of getting closer to Dumfries, but interestingly, I think that's where maybe the Netherlands surprised everyone, right? Because those two wing backs actually get forward quite a bit.
Yeah.
That third goal was a cross from one left wing back to the other right wing back. And we don't expect that because we say it's a back five and we see them really compact. They have two up front. You have the two just, shadow marking the defense and they stay very compact. If you guys notice, they didn't bother to engage the US at all until they got into their half. And then from there, it was man marking in the midfield. But out of possession, the US didn't do a good job of being tactically aware.
Yeah, I don't think I can add anything to what I just said because that's the point I was going to make. That DM thing, and again, being an Arsenal fan as well, that's what I see in Partey. See, these are things that you don't teach. And I say that because Arteta has been a good manager, and yet he has somebody like Sambi Lokonga, and we haven't felt that teaching and coaching and mentoring. Yeah. What is the point I'm trying to make? There's a bit of coaching around how we play, how we set up. And there's a bit of you doing and executing what we tell you and adding your maturity to it when you get on the field. I have been saying it. I think the noise was too much. I like this squad. I think it's a squad for the future. But when this media overhype these guys and begin to say stuff, and I think it gets into their head and it does not let them focus. And I think that's one thing that they need to stop. I am sorry, but it has to be called out. These boys are too young. Let them play their game. Let them grow. Stop putting stuff in their head as if they are better than who they are. They are growing. They are maturing. Tyler Adams got too much of himself today, and it felt like he was a king. When people like, whatever his name, I'm not going to mention his name, started calling their midfield as the best midfield, right? You started to compare Casemiro. Casemiro has won medals, has won trophies. You will never see him make those tactical decisions and foolish decisions, getting out of the line and creating a big hole behind himself. He will stand in there for his team. Somebody needs to take a bullet for their team. People like Fred, people like Casemiro, they understand that better. That is that maturity that is lacking in their game. To summarize it, it's a positional loss for them. They lost this on positioning, and they didn't have that tactical awareness of their positioning. You don't mess with players like those Klassen and De Jong in the midfield when they can turn around 2-3 players, and that's what they did today. You would think that they didn't have space, but they moved around within 2 quick spaces, and by the time they move, you are seeing a threat on this side. You are seeing a threat from Gakpo. Gakpo didn't score today, which is disappointing to me, but I think he did a very good hold-up play, as skinny as he is, which I think it was great. Dumfries was my best player of the game, and somebody needs to explain to me what was Dumfries doing by himself alone for that third goal. That was too many seconds for a player to be standing by himself and score a goal.
So it seems like there were so many positional loopholes for the US team. It wasn't just in the DM position. Ayo thinks it's in DM position. I
It's
think
three. It's in three.
Yeah.
It's in 3 or 4 positions.
Which is what I was about to say.
One at left back.
Mhm.
The other is Sergio Dest. I didn't talk about him earlier because
Serginho.
I don't know if there's any point mentioning Sergio Dest and Tyler Adams, and the fact that they don't have anyone up front that is dynamic enough to play with those. They have such exciting creative talent up front, but if you don't have someone to bring it all together, it just falls apart.
Okay.
Like Biodo says, you just have kids running around. That's what it ends up looking like. You saw even when they brought in Joe Reyna and Brendan Aronson, they're doing a lot of running. They're trying to get the ball out wide, but there's no one getting in the middle to link it all up together, right? Even whether it's actually finishing up in the box or dropping out to play with you and allowing you to make those runs into the box in my place, they don't have that for the US yet. So I think those are the 3 or 4
leadership problem also.
I don't want to get into that because, to be fair and to, again, I like Tyler Adams. I like him for his level. I think his level is Leeds United. I think he's a great guy. And I think it's exceptional to have a player at his age captaining a national team. I think he's a great leader. I think they respect him. I think they listen to him. That leadership you're asking me, is it leadership on the field when the game is on after the whistle is blown? Are you asking me about the leadership when we are off the field? Those are two different things. On the field, that was lacking today. There was nobody vocal. You know me, my games come with passion. There was no vocal player. There's nobody screaming, shouting.
Which goes back to my point about Tim Ray.
Look at Dumfries. He had a great game. Dumfries kept telling Gakwan class in the first half, calm down. Calm down. We've got this. I like people that are vocal.
Yeah.
You got to talk when the game is on. You got to see things. Where's Tyler Adams doing all those stuff? Right? We're screaming. Right? You have big players like Zimmerman and Rem. They're not talking.
That's what I'm
talking about miscommunication. We're shouting. Van Dijk is not as aggressive as I talk personally, but Van Dijk talks.
Yeah.
You see him pointing and talking. Who is doing that on the field? That is that leadership. That's how I'm trying to get your clarity on what leadership are you talking about, in the dressing room or on the field?
No, on the field. I'm talking about on the field. And that's why I mentioned Tim Rim and Zimmerman earlier in regards to their defensive shape and the communication there, which goes all across the whole team. So I guess, do you think if they had that, the results would have been different?
You want to hear my honest opinion? I didn't want them to have it because I wanted them to be out, and they are.
My opinion is this is a young team, right? And we called out, if a team is still lacking in 3 or 4 positions, right, that means they're not ready to compete with the best of the best. That's a large percentage of your team. Anthony Robinson will maybe mature. Sergio Dest, I don't know what happened to him. He was excellent at Ajax. Since he's gone to Barcelona, I don't know what happened to him. And I think even before he went to Barcelona, his defensive side has always been called out. You know, he was okay going forward against the Netherlands, but defensively, even across all the 3 games, we saw the difference between when he was there versus when Moore was brought on. Right, Moore is so much more stable defensively. Even when DeAndre Yedlin came on today, we saw there was a difference. DeAndre Yedlin is better tactically and in terms of his technical touches, and more experience. So I don't know if Sergio Dest is the future in that right back position, but that's 2 positions, right? And Tim Ream and Zimmerman, I don't know if they're still going to be there by the time 2026 comes around. The rest of the guys will still be there. That midfield should be a lot more mature and a lot more experienced, but they need to find a striker.
Your statement about Dest brings up a thought in my head, which we've talked about TAA, Trent Alexander-Arnold, in the past, about how, good in front, a little shaky at the back. Should coaches start considering a different way to use wing backs that are better attackers but poor defenders? We have the likes of Reece James. He's kind of balanced,
So I personally, to that comment, I personally don't think TA is as deficient defensively as a lot of people want to make out. Right. Okay. Granted, he gets caught out of position a lot, and that's because of the way Liverpool tend to play. Liverpool rely a lot on their fullbacks going forward, and that's okay tactically as long as your centre backs and your defensive midfielders know to cover that. A lot of times, because that pairing with Van Dijk, they've had a lot of injuries there. They have Matip, they have Konate, they have Joe Gomez. A lot of those times, you don't know who is going to play there, and whoever is playing there is often not tactically aware enough to cover for him. I think that's where we see Alexander-Arnold being caught out. But if Alexander-Arnold is right there with you defensively, other than Martinelli, I don't see anybody else really getting past him as easily as people want to make out. The goals that were scored today is just a simple matter of tracking the person on your wing. Daley Blind ran in free across you.
As old as
and he has like a whole second in front of you to score before you're able to get there. Blind was already because Des was ball watching. He was watching what was going on rather than, we've talked about the scanning around and paying attention to what's around you. So I don't think it's a matter of how the fullback is playing or the wing back is playing. I think it's a matter of being tactically aware and also just having that defensive awareness when you are in position. Because if people are covering for you and then you're there, but you're still not doing your job when you're there, it falls apart anyway.
You don't have anything to add in regards to?
No, it's the thing. I think you're looking for, sometimes those options don't exist, and let's just be truthful to ourselves, right? Not all managers will be lucky to have such a player like Chris James. Not all players, not all coaches rather, right? Will be lucky to have that. So when you have what you have, you got to play around them. And again, I keep going back to the style of the US coaching team. I think they just enjoy that all through attacking game. Now, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But think about other teams that are planning against you. Think about the threats that they would have, and think about how you will cut out the threats. If you don't do that, and you keep attacking without an established striker, without you scoring 4 or 5 goals in a game, that means you're going to concede more than you score, and you're going to lose, right? So it's comfortable having Des, it's comfortable having Robinson that can go all out attacking. But Zimmerman and Ream are not Van Dijk, right? They are not defenders that can then cover you up the way Trent Alexander-Arnold will play and Robertson will play. You don't have that. And you don't have somebody like Matip or Fabio that is very disciplined, that can stay back and cut out the trade. Tyler Adams is out of 5-something, right? That's compared to Thiago. We'll see the problem with Thiago Alcantara today, right? So Tyler is going to be the guy. He can, but he should then be aware. He should be more better if he's going to be the guy that is giving support to the wing backs. So you need a more disciplined player. Maybe you do like a double pivot, right? Shaka Partey. I don't know. But you have to look at your team and you have to look at the deficiency of your team. And you got to understand what you're losing and what you're gaining. And I think that's the way it should be.
And you also have to play to opponent's weaknesses.
Right.
So I'm guessing we should find a way to get this video to the USFA, to Aya Biodo.
I've said a lot of things. I don't think I'll get a job.
I've been. Oh, go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, just a quick question about the US. Just wrap up on this US thing. Is there anything they did right today?
Yes. So I think before the game, I had said that the Netherlands would keep possession, right? And I think they did a really good job of not allowing Netherlands to take control, which maybe actually was part of the Netherlands' tactics, because, like I said, they sat off the US until the US got into their half, right? So I expected Netherlands would try to take control, but I would say the US did a really good job of ensuring that they kept control. So technically, I think they're good enough to have control, to take possession. All the guys are comfortable on the ball, and that's something I was going to talk about. So I've been going through my coaching badges with US Soccer, and US Soccer right now, they're focusing a lot on player development. So they want to encourage players to be comfortable on the ball, to encourage players to think for themselves and be proactive, rather than having the coach being the one to always give the instructions on the sideline. So I think that's something the US Soccer is pushing a lot, and we do see that coming out in the US Soccer team. But yeah, it looks like maybe there's some areas to grow tactically as well for the team. But yeah, that's something they did well in terms of keeping possession.
So, all right. I would disagree with you with when we started before the pre-game analysis. Remember, I raised the question, and I will tell you why I raised that question. I asked you, what kind of game are you guys expecting to see? Are you expecting to see US coming out all attacking, and are you expecting the Netherlands to sit back, right, and kind of, be conservative and soak the pressure? That was what was playing in my head, because I have thought about it like over the days when people are trying to make me change my decision that US might upset Netherlands. So I had to play to say, okay, let me even think about the possibilities of Netherlands losing this game. What would happen? And I was honest with myself. If Netherlands had played into the hands of the US the way the US team has been playing, they would have regretted it. So that brings me back to my point. Yes, what did they do well? I think they did well by playing to the media. I think they did well by playing to the expectation of all the fans all over the world watching and expecting and exciting and all attacking, a Pulisic holding the ball and running, a Tyler Adams running. They enjoyed that. They gave it to the fans. They gave it to the TV. They did all that. What they didn't do well was everything we talked about, which is, why are you doing this and not protecting your defense? Netherlands gave up on that possession. I never expected Netherlands to have possession of that game. I was never looking out for that. I was expecting them to have possession of the ball when it matters. And that's what happened. The US was too excited. Again, they were too excited having the ball and playing around without any clear, strategy around what's going to happen, right? You are missing a striker, and yet you keep holding the ball that much. I think that's a problem there. So they did well. They didn't disappoint me by having possession. They didn't disappoint me by running around and showing the energy. They have very, very good work rate. I appreciate that. And I think that's something that they should keep, which is the future for them. They have players that have very good work rate. Now, do they need a team? I'm not going to blame those players. I'll tell you, I'm never going to fault any of the players. I think my fault will be on the entire coaching team. You got to decide how you want to play. And you got to decide how you want these boys to play for 2026. That's a decision that has to be made. And they have to accept. If they want to continue with this style of play, good luck.
All right, over to you, Aya. I guess we can discuss the upcoming game, Argentina, Australia.
So I've just seen the starting lineup for both teams. Martinez in goal, Romero, Otamendi, and now Molina in defense. They have De Paul and Acuna in midfield. McAllister, Fernandez, Gomez, Alvarez starts up front along with Messi for Argentina.
Okay, I was waiting for you to mention Messi. I thought he was on the bench.
You're gonna let the word breast on the bench, right?
That means the coach. The coach doesn't plan to coach after. He doesn't plan to stay in his job after this game.
I mean, what if he plays without Messi and they win? Would the media still attack him?
Probably.
Of course, everybody cares about 3 points.
They will still find a way to say, they managed to scrape through, or they could have done a lot better without Messi. Let's talk about something though. I don't think the Messi we see now is the Messi we knew at Barcelona those many years ago.
Of course.
And I'm not.
That's expected though.
It's expected, but in terms of taking control of the game, I see him, and this has been going for a few years. It's not just in terms of age, but I see him strolling around a lot, waiting for the ball to come. And then when the ball gets passed to him is when he, tries to do something. But I don't see him moving into space, demanding the ball, like I might expect of who I think Messi is,
Everything
or who I think he was at Barcelona.
Everything you said is right, except for maybe one thing. You said except for age. Age is a very big factor.
Yeah.
You know how much energy it takes to run without the ball, get the ball, then keep running.
We still play, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's mentally and physically demanding,
draining. So if that's his own tweak to stay longer in the game, stay more effective, I think it makes sense. And like you said, I was even thinking back and saying, was that switch happened when he moved to PSG? But no, it started happening at the tail end of Barcelona. So
correct.
Maybe his team, they're telling him something, or maybe his doctors are telling him something. Maybe his body is telling him something, but I think that's one of the easiest way to keep playing.
To stay long.
To stay long. One,
to be able to make differences in those key moments.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, the effect people want to see Messi make is with the ball, not without. Messi is not a defender. He's not just another midfielder that has to track back or has to stay in the right position. Messi's effectiveness is seen with the ball. So if he has to calm down and chill when he doesn't have the ball, I think it works for him in his favor.
Yeah, I agree with you with the age thing. I don't agree with him strolling around because we have been seeing that for a while, and I'm sure that you guys have been paying attention. He's been doing that at club level. He does it on national level as well. And I think it's laziness. I really think it's laziness, right? Because I know he has the capacity to do that. And what do I mean? Those days, we talk about scanning a lot, right? You scan when you don't have the ball. He used to go and watch all his clips, right? You're seeing him watching over his shoulders, right? Thinking about if the ball gets to me, what do I do? Why did he stop doing that? I don't think those are instincts. Those are things you do. I don't think age has anything to do with that. And that's why I'm calling it laziness. Now, he's the only one. He's not the only one that is doing that. Though. It doesn't stop scanning, but when you scan, right, you move into space, right? That not moving into space, somebody being caught on offside. Ronaldo did it in the last game yesterday. Did you guys see that? That was embarrassing. Him not walking out of offside line. So that's why you start seeing laziness that come with age, right? That's where I say I agree with the age, right? I agree with the age part of it, but these are players that when you've gone to a certain level, we all know that we're looking at you. So you got to keep it up, right? If you don't want to keep it up, then go to MLS, right? Or go to J League or retire, right? Or go to Azabari, whatever Saudi club is, right? Go there, just retire. Let the other people do the job for you. But I understand and I respect the fact that age is there, but that's laziness.
I disagree, actually. I totally disagree. I think if you are a professional, you have to know your strengths and weaknesses. And you have to play to your strengths. Doing everything you used to do 7, 8, 10 years ago and doing it now, it's not going to happen. I don't think it's laziness at all. I think it's stage and the desire to keep going. This is the things you have to sacrifice to keep going longer. Ronaldo doesn't play the way he used to play. Zlatan doesn't play the way he used to play. Nobody.
Question so that I can get clear. Are you saying they want to do it, but their body cannot? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying their body may play a fact, which is the age factor, but they know if they keep playing the way they used to play, they won't last as long as they want to last. So
then we know that they won't last anyways. Just give us 1 or 2 seasons and bow out.
Hold on. Long as
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, Ronaldo said he wants to retire at 40, which is 2 years from now. If he plays the way he used to play when he was in Real Madrid, it's not going to last till 39.
And give us your best about.
Say that one more time. Give us your best about. Sometimes it's not about you.
Okay, what is
I want to get paid.
What is the point of 3 mediocre years compared to 1 very good season? Give me 1 good season.
It's not really mediocre if you are giving more power to your teammates and you guys are still winning trophies. The thing about it is, it's not a one-man sport, it's a team sport.
We have players in the 20s, we have players that are willing to step into that role and take the shit. Let their time come back.
But that's what you don't understand, though. There are things Messi would do that those players can't do. There are things those players can do that Messi has chosen not to do. If I have to run 20 kilometers or 20 miles, rather, without the ball, but I only have to run 5 with the ball, and people want me to score, you want me to give assists, that means I need the ball. I'd rather run 5 and run for the 20. I'll run maybe another 5. Reduce the work on me. Let others do the work. The likes of McAllister.
So I'm going to challenge you on the same thing you've been challenging me on for the past few weeks on this conversation. You talk about players as being employees, and you keep saying they're employees and they should do whatever the manager wants. I am the manager. I don't care what your body tells you. I am paying you. Do your effing job. Run 20 kilometers. If you can run 20 kilometers, get out of my team. I am playing your words back to you. I am playing your words back to you. Respond.
The good thing is, one, you're not the manager. You understand? and here's the second thing is this. Maybe the manager understands what I'm talking about and understands that, okay, Messi is our golden boy. We need him to score goals. honestly, I go back to how I treat some players. Your job is to hold on. Let me finish. I know you're gonna give me a comeback, but it's not about. So here's the thing: the difference between Ronaldo and Real Madrid. Listen now, the difference between Ronaldo and Man U is Ronaldo and Man U. They demanded ABC from him. He was only willing to do A. If the coach demands ABC from you, give ABC. That's why I said initially I said you're not the coach. So if this coach, Argentina's coach, PSG's coach, agrees with Messi that Messi does not need to do B and C, then that's fine. So you may think it's laziness. It may be coming from the coach, like I said, it may be coming from his team, it may be coming from his doctors. There's a reason behind it, and I don't think laziness is one of it. I mean, when you see Messi with the ball, you can't call him lazy. So because he's not running without the ball, you shouldn't call him lazy because there's only a reason to it.
I call it laziness because I know he can do it. I know he has the capacity to do it. He's done it before. So when that form has dropped level, right, and he's still playing top football, that's why I call it laziness. I might be wrong, but again,
let's put some
perspective. You cannot have it both ways.
Perspective, right?
Yeah,
right.
I agree with I agree with Charles's points, right? After a while, age starts to play a factor. The body really at 35 is not what it was when it was 22. So I can accept that. And we saw how Ronaldo modified his game, right? From being a winger who is always on the ball, taking players on, getting hits, getting tackled, to focusing on just being more effective in and around the box. So I can see that difference for Ronaldo. For Messi, though, and that's why I raised the question, right? I want to see him pulling more into space. I don't want him, I don't need him running 20 kilometers like Bjorn is demanding, but I want to see him. It takes just a few steps to pull off away from the defender and be able to get the ball. But a lot of times I see him just strolling along, like waiting for the ball to come back into his sphere before he then opens up to receive space. If you're in that hole for me in the 10 spot, I expect you to take just those 20 meters. A few steps, 5-10 meters to get into space and to make that magic for the team. And I don't know. I personally don't see Argentina going far, but
so do you think?
But they will beat Australia.
Yeah, he believes so. He doesn't.
You want to bet?
Yeah, I think they will. Yeah, I see them.
I mean, why wouldn't they beat Australia? Why would they beat Australia?
Australia scraped through. We know they will beat Australia.
But do you
But I won't be surprised if they lose. I won't be surprised because this is Argentina team, and
I'm okay with upsets. I'm okay with surprises. This game ain't no surprise. No.
Yeah.
But Bjorn, do you think Messi, or I guess questions for Sophie, do you think Messi is more effective in generating the needed results now that his game is calmer off the ball?
Based on the results with the World Cup, yes, he scored that goal. That first goal brought them back to life. What are you? Yeah. I mean, you think that was an easy goal?
No, it wasn't. That's what I'm asking you the question.
That's a player that has quality. That's a player that is clinical.
That's why I'm asking you the question.
Give that shot to Ferreira or at the right hand team where it's not going to go in.
Do you think he would have scored that goal if he was won out by running 20 kilometers earlier?
Okay. I'm not getting into that. I just want him to move into space small. I just want him to not stroll around the field. I want him to be aware that there is an offside trap. So get out of the offside trap, come back into line. Di Maria does the same thing. They all do. And watch this team. It's like they respect all these older guys. I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, Ayo's favorite guy, Dybala, he will continue to sit on the bench as long as Messi is still playing. Dybala can give you that, but they're not going to play him. They're going to play Messi. So, and I understand why, which is fine. I'm okay with that. His experience, he can do the magic when nobody else can do the magic. So you have to keep such players on the field. Because we only need few moments. We don't need 90 minutes, right? We need those magical moments. And players like that will do that. When Richarlison left, and Richarlison didn't play yesterday, and you had Fred. What did he do? What was that? Should I call it a spoon kick? That was in the bicycle.
You mentioned Dybala though. Dybala, can you play, or I guess how do you play Messi and Dybala together?
I should respond because the likes are about many years ago they tried that, it didn't work. I think that was a disastrous World Cup or one tournament like that they played. Also, there's a beef between the two of them, so
Yeah,
I don't see them out.
Let's take the floor on this one.
I don't understand what the feud is between both of them. Even to the point where Dybala doesn't even get subbed in at all. I agree that maybe you will lose something if you have both of them starting the game, whereas there's a lot more work to do defensively, and those two just maybe don't do the work defensively in terms of tracking back. I would maybe pair them together somehow and just have people who, like both of you said earlier, just do the dirty work. People who are going to just come in and do 20 miles, of running, and let them just do the 2 to 5 miles that are needed in the game to make the difference. Because I think those two are difference makers. I think it's a waste of talent to have someone of Dybala's quality on the bench.
But how would you play them, though? You said I kind of want to visualize what that formation would look like, positioning and stuff like that. It's a tough question, I know.
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
It's a tough question. You asked me this before, right? So I gave an off-the-cuff answer and said I would play Dybala on the right and Messi in the middle, and I would have both of them switch all game. The issue there, though, is that tactically speaking, you are likely to often get caught out on that right side. And so I'd have to spend some more time thinking about that. Could you maybe play 4-4-2 and just have both of them up front and just have maybe a box-to-box midfielder, join in attack?
So you bench Martinez?
Well, Martinez is benched already for Alvarez. Martinez.
Alvarez. It was Alvarez I was thinking about. So you bench Martinez and Alvarez, basically.
So Alvarez might be a good complement. Yeah, Alvarez might be a good complement to those two, because Alvarez will run. He will run into channels to get the ball for you. He will chase back. So Alvarez might be a good, complement to them. And I think that's part of why he's starting, is because he's willing to do that work, and he's he can technically adapt and tactically adapt, where Martinez just likes to play off the shoulder, and if you're not getting him balls in behind, he becomes ineffective, right? So Alvarez might be a complement to those two. They also play McAllister for that reason. And I think that's why, because Messi doesn't do enough of that work off the ball, it's why they play the likes of. I personally, I don't see what McAllister is doing in this team. But I was surprised
when I saw him when the lineup.
It's his work rate. It's because of the work rate. Same thing with Enzo Perez. I haven't seen a lot of what Enzo Perez or DePaul are doing in midfield, other than they work hard.
DePaul does work. That's one player actually I would play.
They work. DePaul works. He's all over the pitch. Is he providing goals for you? No. Is he providing the final balls? No, but he works. He covers a lot of deficiencies in this Argentina team. The team would they would probably lose to Australia today if DePaul isn't in that team. They wouldn't have made it through the group stage, personally, if DePaul wasn't in the team.
DePaul was not playing,
So that would maybe be a solution to pairing those two. I don't know exactly. I'm not sure how I would pair those two, but maybe we'll find a segment to talk about how you make those two work.
Because I was actually going to ask you if you can pull up their lineup. Let's see. Because if we can visualize it, then we can maybe do the tweak. Because I asked the question, and actually I don't have an answer, because I haven't seen Dybala in the lineup for so long. He's beginning to, except you take out Messi and put him in.
This might be totally out of reality. Not full conspiracy, but this is what we've heard for some time now. Right? This is what we've heard for some time, that players like Messi control the dressing room to the point of sometimes influencing selection, right? So we are here thinking about playing these two together in a game when you have somebody that can influence selection. So it's already a no-go, right? Plus, if you play Dybala, would you listen to the way Messi wants the team to play? I don't know. I mean, I know there's a manager, but like Messi's a player and a manager. You get what I mean? So it's difficult to see that. And I think what we've seen kind of, underscore that point, that maybe that has been the issue. To say, don't come into my space, right? If I'm injured, if I'm not called up for national duties, then you can go do it. But for now, this is how we do it. I don't know. So
here's the lineup. Again, I think this is a little off. Messi will operate more on the right.
More on the
Gomez
right,
will
yeah.
be on the left, and Alvarez will be up front. Those three will rotate essentially, because Alvarez runs a lot into channels on all three sides. Yeah.
So if you're to do
I
a
like the
team
back pairing of Romero and Otamendi.
Otamendi.
Romero is very reliable.
And Otamendi is
Otamendi can
not.
make some mistakes, yes. Otamendi is not.
I still don't
Very
know. I still don't know
experienced.
how that guy is playing.
He's very good sometimes, makes mistakes sometimes. So, yeah.
I don't think
Wait,
they have enough
is this
backup
the
for
lineup
him.
though? I thought it was Di Maria. Are you sure this is the lineup? I thought it was Di Maria.
Di Maria is dropped. That's a very good
Oh, they
point.
just dropped him.
Yeah, he's on the bench. Di Maria is on the bench.
I checked earlier and it was Di Maria starting the game.
No, Di Maria is not in the lineup.
That's interesting.
I have this in two different places.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like it's been dropped. Yes.
Yeah, that lineup is correct. The one you have up right now.
Okay.
Yep.
He's on the bench.
Yep. Australia. Quick thoughts on Australia, then we'll wrap up. I haven't seen enough of their games to comment.
Say that again.
So I
haven't seen enough
watched
of their
first
games.
game.
Okay.
I watched their first game against France, where they scored first, and I would tell you they played with confidence. They were not afraid.
Okay.
However, would they do that against Argentina? Yes, they would do that because they have nothing to lose. I mean, let's just face it, right? They're the underdogs. You have nothing to lose. You already made it to the knockout stage. If I were the manager, I would pump you up with all the confidence in this world. Go out there, have fun, enjoy yourself, because this might, and I will be honest with them, I won't say it to the media, this might be your last game in this tournament. I want you to express yourself. I want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to play with confidence. However, my back line, you can't make silly mistakes. The entire team don't make silly mistakes. If you want to lose the ball in the final third, but don't lose the ball in my last third, inside my own box. You understand? But go in there, express yourself, have fun, enjoy yourself. There's nothing else I can teach you. I can get you how to play against Argentina. Lockout Messi is not as great as he used to be. Still respect him because he can do magic. But don't be worried about somebody driving the ball from his own half into your half. He's not that kind of player anymore, right? So play as a unit, play as a team. Take your chances because you might have very few. That's what I would tell them. And I don't expect them to create an upset. But let them go and enjoy themselves.
Do we need to say anything else? I think I would personally put a man on Messi. I put a man on
Why?
Messi.
He doesn't move.
That's the point.
Why are you wasting your man?
Yeah, why are you wasting your man?
I'm putting a man on him for the times when he gets the ball. Because whether we like it or not, the Argentine team are wired to pass the ball to him.
Yes.
It's a subconscious. They're wired to pass the ball to him. And he doesn't move when he doesn't have the ball. But when he has the ball, he moves and he does magic, like you said. And the best way to, because when you counter that, you force the Argentine team to look for other options. When you can force them to look for other options, you force them to stray away from their initial plan A, which can throw off their whole game. It's an attempt. It may not work. It may work. It's a gamble. But I think it's a gamble worth taking. And that's what I would do. Give them the encouraging speech like Biodun said, tell them to go all out. But I will put a man on Messi just so he knows that he's not going to have as much free reign as he would have. He has had in some games. What am I expecting? I'm expecting Argentina to win. I don't even know if Australia will score a goal, but this World Cup has shown us so far that anything can happen. So I'll say 2-0 Argentina.
Okay. I see lots more goals. Ayo, go ahead.
No, I have nothing to say. I'm not making a prediction on Argentina's game.
if you want to make it dirty, to your point, again, don't quote me saying this on here. Man marking, if that's what you want to do, Charles, I'll support you. Let's do the man marking. And at 70 minutes, let somebody help the team take out Messi. It's worth taking a red card if it remains 0-0.
Okay. Yeah, on that note, I think we should just wrap it up. Evil comment.
Oh, God. Let's get him, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for you to take him out anyway. You all know that. It doesn't play that way.
Yep. All
right, guys.
Good time.
All right. It's been a nice day. I am so glad we can return to sanity. Bye-bye to the entire sports crew. I am glad the way the game ended. I have no beef against the US. I think they've got a very great squad, but I think they need a better management that can set them up properly and fix all those loopholes.
Yourself. Say you are available.
Yeah, let's return to sanity. Yes, I'm available. Reach out to my
Your phone
manager.
number, your name, your social security number, put everything online.
And reach me online. My details is in there.
Yeah, so I think Berhalter did a good job, because if you all remember, they didn't qualify for 2018, right? They lost finally to the Trinidad and failed to qualify after that game. And I think he did a good job of picking them up, building up the squad back, finding players to get them to this World Cup. But as Berto said, yes, I think they need someone else at a higher caliber to take them forward to 2026. If they want to challenge at 2026, I think they have the talent to do it.
I don't know.
And these players will mature, but they need more tactical awareness.
They'll be part of the host now, so they have to challenge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they have to.
No choice.
I mean, if that's what I'm saying, if you're going to host, you want a team that is capable of getting to the quarters. At least.
Don't want to drop out like Qatar in the group stage.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
All right.
Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.